Hey everyone, this is Curb and I bring you another standard match. Today we have Tim once again playing his Tamayura deck, fresh off his loss to me in one of the previous videos. And on the right, I believe that is Ethan playing his Drajeweled deck. Anyways, we are going to be seeing Tim going first, riding to Grade 1 Tamayura. Now, I haven't actually looked up any of the skills of Tamayura cards, which is something I probably should be doing. But anyways, it looks like you do get a search of off top something and you search a doll. Anyways, going into the broken dolls, checking the top 7, the top 8, I don't know, but looks like we are going to be whiffing there. Thankfully we do have, I think that's the Rerumi in the drop zone that we discarded for Ride deck, so we are actually going to be able to get that. But because we didn't actually get both of them, we aren't going to be able to draw off the broken toy. So it is kind of just a straight -1 in this situation. Pretty unfortunate whiffing on that. Anyways, going back to Ethan, looks like we are just going to be riding up, swinging, and passing, hitting a nice critical trigger there, hitting into a defensive crit. So it's nice that one of the crits is out, but at the same time, it's like, okay, whatever. Anyways, riding into the grade 2, looks like we get to add back a doll that we discard for Ride deck. And looks like we are actually going to be going for that traditional Tamayura rush, calling out that Ririmi and Rarami. I mean, there's no reason really not to. You get value off of them pretty much either way, because if you like intercept with them, you're putting them into the soul, and that's kind of where they want to be anyway. So it looks like we are going to be seeing the first swing actually blocked with a draw trigger, which is kind of interesting. Makes sense. You don't really care too much. It's only a 5k, and it looks like we are going to be guarding a 1 to pass for the Vanguard, and we are actually going to be seeing it hit there with a front trigger. So if we had swung the Vanguard, that would have been a much more devastating turn. We are going to be seeing the damage check being the OT, which is pretty unfortunate. I think in that situation, we probably should have just committed that 15k guard that we got off the drive check last turn. Just no pass it, don't even risk it. I mean, we would have ended up drawing into OT, but you know, 50k shield is still 50k shield. That's essentially a perfect guard for almost any attack. Actually calling a effect trigger here, really awkward. I mean, it hit 17, which I guess is a better number than 13. But honestly, you don't really need it. You already have a grade 0 in soul from your Ride deck. And you have things like Fallicate and just like random soul charging, which are definitely going to soul charge triggers. So I think overextending here with that grade 0 is really probably not a great idea. This 17 attack, we could even just double intercept this and get both of them into the soul, which is a pretty decent play. But looks like we are actually going to decide to commit and just take it, hitting into a front trigger. So this, is it Jewel Neal, is going to be hitting for a 10k 1 to pass. I think in this situation, we can even just intercept, and that's going to make it a no pass because OT is out. And we do get the extra unit into the soul, which I believe is the other one that we were missing. So I believe now we do have the Rurumi and Rarami in the soul that we need in order to do the multi-attacks during this next grade 3 turn, which is probably what we're going to be seeing as we ride into that grade 3 Tamayura. Now, we aren't going to be getting the extra plus 5k, which would have made a pretty good, pretty decent difference against this 10k Vanguard. But it looks like we are going for the, gosh, what's her name? I forgot her name. But anyways, calling out 2 triggers, which is definitely a little bit risky because those are 15k shields. But just activating that pseudo Persona Ride and getting the draw off it, especially since you are going to be multi-attacking this turn. We have a maximum of 5 attacks if we decide to commit another card to that other column. But looks like we are just going to be going for the 4 attack swing for 20, which is definitely a very nice number against a grade 2 Vanguard. So it looks like we are actually going to be hitting that defensive. I think that was a draw trigger. But anyways, we are going to be swinging the Tamayura 23, calling out 2 more units, which are both going to be able to hit, checking drive check, PG, and a grade 1 doll. So we are going into this. This is honestly just one of the most annoying things about Tamayura, that their early aggro rush is just like so easy and can really just pump you up to really high damage. I think taking that first attack is probably worth it, and then just guarding the other one. But interestingly enough, guarding with a Rocky Rakagora. I think that, like, if you don't have a good 5k shield in hand, you just overcommit the overguard. It's not that big of a deal, and Rakagora is such an important card. To just like throw it away like that is kind of concerning. I don't think you should do that. Looks like we are going to be seeing that Phallicate. I believe we drive checked it earlier, so pretty good. The pretty typical place we see it behind the Vanguard, just because you can actually now I do know that you can actually link both of those skills and essentially just get free soul. But looks like we are moving it behind the other rearguard circle and calling a Swirler behind Vanguard, which is definitely an interesting play. Probably not very necessary. Look, I know they do it in the anime, but this is real life, and you don't need Swirler behind Drajeweled. Drajeweled really has crit pressure. You're already pushing them down to 1. Even if you're just swinging 21, that's still a really big number that they are probably going to PG anyway. So just adding more power onto it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And looks like we're going to be seeing a Phallicate called to boost the other Phallicate. That's definitely not an ideal column. If we had actually kept the Rakagora, that would have made for a much better column. I mean, we probably would have boosted with the Phallicate and we wouldn't have gotten the skill off like we're going to see here. That Swirler makes no difference because we're going to see it PG'd hitting into a draw trigger. But anyways, what I was saying, you wouldn't get the Phallicate because you'd probably be swinging the Rakagora boosted with the first swing. But still, like, being able to just counterblast 1 and get that extra attack, especially since you have a completely empty column on the other side. Not the greatest, but, you know, we live and learn. Looks like we are going to be putting a grade 3 back into the soul. Looks like it's going to be that Ristal Galer that I think we discarded for right deck. Anyways, moving back to Tamayura, we do get that extra 5k, but looks like we don't have the Persona ride, so it looks like we're gonna have to be just settling for pokes here. I mean, the dolls are gonna be swinging a 15, which like hits, so that's really the important thing. And we are already at 3, and we are gonna be seeing the Blaze Maiden actually used to get that pseudo Persona ride, so hitting for even better numbers. So each of these dolls is calling for a 15k guard, and the opponent is already at 3. So this turn is looking to be pretty devastating unless we see like double defensives off the damage, just because like each of those swings is going to be a 15k guard, and with the addition of those grade 1 dolls, these are going to be swinging for even bigger numbers. So let's say that's 25, 33, that's a 25 point guard. The other one is going to be a 38, which is a 30 point guard. So definitely gonna kind of have to bank on defensives here if we want to conserve hand. Unfortunately, not getting it off that first damage, getting a Swirler. Just using that grade 1 skill to slide both of them into the soul, which is just so good. Tamayura definitely needed those grade 1 cards. Without it, the deck was just kind of mediocre. But anyways, with them, so much better. We are going to be seeing them, like I said, just move into the soul. Looks like we're deciding where we want to put the 5k. I mean, we could put it on the Vanguard, but it's already hitting for 28. So I think the column is just to put it on the other one, the whatever that is, Ryumi. Oh, so it looks like we are actually putting it for the Vanguard, which is interesting. Just going to be deciding to swing the 33 with the other column instead of getting the power there at the Vanguard, and hitting another Swirler into the damage zone, which is definitely not what you want to see, especially in this situation. Getting the Soul Blast to countercharge, swinging the Tamayura, counterblasting 1 in order to call out the 2 dolls, the Ririmi and Rarami, using the skill of one of them to Soul Blast 1, draw a card, and then counterblasting the 2 to call them back out. So this Vanguard is swinging for that 33. Of course, it is just going to get PG'd, hitting into a heal trigger. Unfortunately, not going to go off because we did just deal 2 damage, but you know, trigger power is still trigger power. Oh, it looks like we actually decided to only call one of the dolls. I think we were just short on the counterblast. Probably going for the one that gives the extra 5k. I mean, that makes the most sense. But anyways, looks like we're deciding where to put that power. I mean, you are swinging for lethal with all these attacks. So really I guess what you're kind of deciding here is, do you want the first attack to be more powerful, or do you want the second attack to be more powerful? Because we are going to be seeing another let's see. Yeah, that's 33 again. So that's a 25-point guard, which you are going to be seeing here, a 30-point guard just with the 2 triggers, using the skill to give the 5k there. So that is now a 40k guard, which is going to be guarded with another 2 triggers. So looks like we're only left with 1 card in hand. Ooh, top decking that Persona Ride. Very nice. So looks like we might be able to do something here, but that hand is definitely looking great. And we only have 1 column of 2 Phallicates. If we had the Swirler in that column instead, that would have been at least a decent attacker. It looks like we're calling Double Ling, which is not really a card you see in Drajeweled these days. If you're building like more of a budget one, I guess you can use it. Although, if I recall, I don't think Ling is that much more budget than some of the other options. But you do get it with a trial deck, I guess. Anyways, retiring that Phallicate and calling a Drajeweled, I mean, it's not very likely that we're going to live this turn. We don't have any cards. You might as well push. But given the fact that we have kind of really weak columns here, and the opponent is at 3, and sure, we're putting them down to 1, but he's got a pretty big hand there. So if we don't kill here, we kind of just die next turn either way. So I guess committing the extra Persona Ride doesn't make a huge difference. We are, once again, we're at 5, so no real hope unless we get a 6 damage heal. So just going to be swinging that Vanguard. Once again, this is a really big number with the Brainwash Swirler behind it, but at the same time, it's like most people are really going to be taking the Vanguard. I mean, you can take it here, risk the crit, but most of the time you're just going to be PGing it, so numbers don't matter that much. What is that? 23, 33, or not 20, 21, 31, 41, I believe, with the Persona Ride and the Psychic Swirlers, or Brainwash Swirlers skill. So swinging at that 1, I believe we did get that Soul Blast. Yeah, I think we set up for it last turn with the Phallicate. So yeah. And I guess I could mention there is the fact that we guarded with a lot of critical triggers last turn, so the chances of us actually hitting a critical trigger might be low. I'm not sure exactly how many are out, but if there's a decent amount of them out, there is, you know, there's always the chance to take this. And I mean, if he gets 1 crit, if you PG this and he gets 1 crit, you can just take one of the rears, guard the other one, and you're good to go. Honestly, you can bank on defensives even if you get like hit with a 2 crit attack. The main thing is kind of just blocking this Vanguard swing or deciding to risk it, which is obviously the biggest decision here because there is the possibility of just losing here, but at the same time, your opponent is in a pretty bad situation. It looks like we are guarding, what is that, 40, 50, 55? So what was our number? 41. I think that's a 2 to pass. So hitting into a heal trigger here instead, healing down to 4. So maybe there's a chance, but honestly, you have 2 cards in hand. Tamayura is going to be swinging at you for 5 times. We set up the soul. We just put 1 back in because it intercepted. We're not looking too hot unless we get a defensive here. But that other one, honestly, we can just take these 2 Vanguard swings. They're not lethal. You're only at 3. These swings aren't really that big, 26, 36, I think, and the other one was 31. Oh yeah, Persona Ride. That'll definitely probably close things out. So now that rearguard in the back is kind of useless unless we want to commit 2 more triggers, but at the same time, we got Persona Ride power. Do we need the extra power? Do we really need it? Maybe, but I guess we're gonna find out. Activating a Broken Toys. I mean, we got the drop zone set up. We've got top deck. Hopefully we don't whiff off it like we did the first one. But we are going to be seeing 1 card from the top deck, and I believe 1 from the drop zone in order to put them both into soul and then draw that extra card. There they go, and drawing the extra card. So now I think we have definitely enough cards in hand to just commit to the board and just go for those 5 swings. And we do have the 2 grade 1 dolls also set up, so realistically there's almost no way you can just lose it in this position. Your opponent would have to hit like 3 heal triggers, and I think we already have 2 of them out. Looks like we are going for the cheeky Blaze Maiden play, giving the front row an extra 25, kind of just guaranteeing that like even those heals aren't going to save you. I mean, we do have 2 cards left in hand. and this is 5 attacks, so do the math. You can't guard all that. Looks like we are seeing the Ririmi kind of just deciding what we want to call for the other one, calling out that draw trigger, which is actually pretty threatening. That's a 29k beater, which is calling for a 20k shield by itself, just due to the Persona Ride and Tamayura's effects and that Blaze Maiden. What's her name? Elena? I don't know. I said it in the last video. Looks like we're actually going to be overcalling one of them with the grade 1. Hopefully that's the 5k one so that we get extra bonus. But anyways, calling out attacking with that Vanguard. Looks like we're just going to be guarding 2 cards from hand, which I don't think you really should. You should just, like, if you're banking on a heal, just bank on the heal. Take the damage and just let it happen. Pray to the Vanguard gods, basically. But you're kind of in a situation where even if you get a 6 damage heal here, you have no way of blocking these other 2 attacks. You have no intercepts. You already used up all the cards in hand. So we're just going to be drive checking the last damage. And of course, it's not going to be heal. And that's going to be the match. So I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.